I want to ask you, what is inflation?
What is inflation?
Yeah.
So inflation to me is everything's price goes up. So this is the most direct answer for me. Do you need any more
Yeah.
answers?
No, that's good.
Alright,
Thank you, bro.
thank you.
See you. Here just I want to ask you, what is inflation?
Do you have any idea? Inflation is something regarding the price increase of a good or service, right? I guess something like that.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
What is inflation? What is CPI? Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rise and consequently the purchasing power of the currency falls. This is equivalent to the sustained increase in the general level of prices, low prices. In simple terms, inflation is the rise of price of goods and services over time. It increases the cost of living. This happens in every aspect of the world today. It is one of the most serious issues the government, industries, consumers, and business are facing today. The rise and fall of inflation affects the world economics because it is the inflation that is high. The economics will change drastically due to the change from the past period compared to the present or the current period of the index, that's the CPI. CPI is the measure of changes in purchasing power of a currency and the rate of inflation. It reports rising prices and falling prices. It also expresses the current prices of a basket of goods and services in terms of the prices during the same period in the previous year. To show effect of inflation or purchasing power, it is one of the best known lagging indicators. Okay, let's talk about the pros and the cons of inflation. Because with advantages of something, the rate of inflation usually increases due to massive printing of money, which increases supply in the economy, thus reducing demand. When commodities like oil or agriculture goods become more expensive, this also may happen. Higher inflation also leads to lower competitiveness with other countries. There are some advantages and disadvantages of inflation. Also, the advantages, number one point is when prices fall, consumers are encouraged to delay purchasing. For another advantage, moderate inflation rate reduces the real value of a debt for the nation. Another one is, the third point is, moderate rates of inflation allow prices to be adjusted and goods to attain real prices. The fourth point is, the moderate rates of inflation shows a healthy economy. Based on this, inflation is all about moderate. Everything, I think in life, everything moderate is better. The disadvantages, high inflation, the first point is high inflation rate causes uncertainty and it leads to less investment and low rates of economic growth. For example, we have so many countries, Nigeria is one of them. The second point, high inflation leads to lower international competitiveness. The third point, few exports and deterioration in account balance. I pass it to my friend Lovish. He's going to talk about the causes of inflation.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the causes of inflation. There are many reasons that may cause inflation. Some of the common ones are money supply. For example, the increase in money supply that outpaces the economic growth. The value of money is determined by the amount of currency that is in circulation and the public's perception of the value of that money. If the circulation rate is high, the economy's growth rate, the value of money falls because of the changing perception of the public about the value of the underlying currency. The less currency there is in the money supply, the more valuable that currency will be when the new currency is printed out. And the value of money will decrease every time the new currency is printed. Another point is the national debt. If a country's debt increases, it's either the taxes are increased or more money are printed out to pay off the debts, while a rise in taxes cause businesses to react and raise prices to offset the increased corporate tax rate. There's also demand and pull effect. For example, as wages increase within an economic system, which often the case is in a growing economy with low unemployment, people will have more money to spend on consumer goods. Which will result in an increase in demand for products. This will result in the raise of prices to the level that consumers will bear in order to supply and demand. Another point is the cost push effect. For example, when companies are faced with increased input costs, such as raw goods and materials, or even wages, the profitability will be preserved and the increased cost of production will be passed on to the consumer in the form of higher prices. Now, how to relate inflation to the engineering industry? For example, manufacturing, production. One of the important sectors that inflation affects is the engineering industry. In the aviation industry in 2011, the increase in oil prices caused a raise in jet fuel prices, which affect the earnings of many airline companies. Companies such as American Airlines, United Airlines, Continental Airlines, and so on, have increased the prices of most round-trip tickets to domestic destinations by $4 to $10, according to the website faircompare.com. The rise in oil prices, fueled by global interests in Egypt and now Libya, increase in component costs due to the rising transportation expenses. I will now pass on to my friend Abdelrahman to continue on the relationship between inflation and the engineering industry.
So the rise in oil prices, fueled by global unrest in Egypt and now Libya, increased in component cost due to rising transportation expenses. Additionally, materials such as plastics for computers, chemicals used in cell phones will increase in cost as petrochemical factories are forced to pay more in the same year, 2011. Tech stocks reached badly in response to petroleum's rise over the President's Day weekend in a 2.6 drop compared to DJIA decrease of 1.4%. Sony, Dell, Toshiba all hit when China began to crack down on illegal mining operations, reducing their exports of rare earth minerals, which are necessary for many electronic components. The rising of inflation caused the rising of cost of manufacturers to be covered, which means that consumers will have to pay through increased prices. As a result of this, the cost of car finance goes up. It has the effects on the market, the vehicle production manufacturing plant, as well as dealers, employees, and finance brokers. The rising inflation, weak currencies, the prices of imported cars and components, safety regulations, adding cost is being pushed up. The automakers handle inflation by stretching out payments from 24 months to 36 months. But now it is up to 84 months loans, where 7 years loans is the limit. But how to find the inflation theoretically? In order to find inflation theoretically, there is a value of CPI. It's needed to be calculated. Now I will pass the rest to Raad.
Come, let's go.
Hello guys. Hello.
Guys, come on. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you can answer, what is inflation?
What is inflation? It's the rise of. I have no idea.
Thank you. Another one.
Yeah, I'm good. I asked Arabic to make the whole video.
What is inflation?
Open my YouTube channel and check it out.
Okay. Come here. This guy. What is inflation?
Inflation.
Yeah.
I already uploaded the assignment.
You don't know? You just upload. So shy.
Like really,
Okay,
really-
thank you. That was our video.